There's a reason we call them legends. That reason is their seemingly impossible talent to do what seems impossible but their way.
I started with a big block of wood, and then as I work on them, I know every line. They sort of become like your children.
I had an order for fried chicken, and I'm going back to the Greyhound station to finish my supper. And then they said, well, put that commie away. They had decided I was some sort of threat to the local establishment.
The court went from being a very small, rather sleepy affair to being a court that was at the center of the debates people were having.
I said to Aaron, I said, you know what? There's so many people who are hungry. And I said, why shouldn't we give something back?
I made a little poster up, says, broke, question mark, hungry, question mark, lonely, question mark, come to Woodlands.
How do you laugh? It's not easy to do. But as a younger actor, it was, and that's not convincing.
I think the foreign buyer tax caused a level of racism that we can't unwind. It wasn't the solution.
One true thing, if we can't keep everybody safe, or if we don't keep everybody safe, we keep nobody safe.
We made this deal with Mercury Records, and we, put out a record, and it caught. And the reason it caught is because Randy Bachman.
Never believe a story where the headline or the first paragraph contains the words may, might, or could.
They felt I was very exotic, and I had to laugh about that. They treated us as if we'd just taken off our kitchen apron.
In that business, you learned that, have fun while you can, but it's always going to come back and bite you.
And at that time, women had a choice of two running events, 100 or 200, because the IOC said if they trained for more than that, it would be too strenuous, they would not bear children. And look what we're doing. Look what women in sport are doing today.
I can remember very clearly being taught in what was then physical education, now kinesiology, and it was quite clear that women could not possibly do anything that had created sweat even. I mean, it was going to be detrimental, and that this would ruin them.
I was making the money, but my two partners were having a good time.
And I won on the second ballot by 5 votes. I was called Landslide McPhail.
When I told the federal Minister of Health that we had a solution, the minister said, Julio, you know what the problem is? You are the problem.
We were very successful, and 80%, our success rate was 80%. That means when they finished our program, 80% of them, they were able to hold a job.
My dream was to help Vancouver and British Columbia be a hub of a global network of collaborators.
I was 10 years old when I wanted to be a broadcaster. I was 20 when I joined, when I did my very first program with BBC.
As a nation, we have taken back this place. It was our choice to do it. We've created something better.
The guy came at me with a metal bar. If it had been the 90s, or even now, I would have been dead.
We can still come out on the other side feeling free.
Interestingly enough, when my wife and I had absolutely nothing, we're starting in Lululemon, and we were actually in debt, probably $1 million. We set the goal of owning a house on the ocean here and having $30 million in the bank cash, and we thought that's the most bizarre goal in the world.
And that's about all that we can offer. I always say that I hope on my deathbed that I'm not in agonizing pain. I hope that my faculties are still there. And I hope that my grandchildren will be gathered around me and I can look at them and say, I'm only one human being, but honestly, I did the best I could for you.
You gotta wanna. If you wanna be successful like you gotta wanna. And if you wanna
be good, successful like these photographer people running these deal today, you gotta wanna be a really good photographer. You wanna be a good cameraman. You wanna be good at what you do. And you have to have that inside of you.
To always speak the truth, to always ensure that you strive for equity and equality and inclusion and justice. And that's, those values and principles have led me down a path in my life that I had never anticipated.
Somebody saw me and flung a rock at me. I mean, that was a near-death experience. I've had helicopter crashes, plane crashes, falling in crevasses, just one near-death experience after another, and yet here I am. So it goes to show, lucky guy.
These are people who strive, who rail against critics and cynics, who rise up to meet the challenges that life, economics, and adversaries put in their way. These are the people Teddy Roosevelt was talking about, whose faces are marred by dust, sweat, and blood. People who err, who come up short time and again, but people who in the pursuit of a worthy cause exude energy, enthusiasm, and desire. People who by their very efforts drive change, and in doing so they enhance and improve the lives of all of us. British Columbia is rich with men and women who have changed our world.